Hi, Dr. Turri here again. Thanks for joining me. Today's topic is speech and noise. You know, restaurants, parties, crowds, even family get-togethers where the grandkids are over, the kids are over, parents are over. A lot of chatter, a lot of side conversations. The TV's on, the radio's on, and somebody's, always trying to talk over somebody else. Speech and noise, SNR ratio, signal to noise ratio. That's what we call it in audiology. So what does that mean, signal to noise ratio? What we're talking about is the signal. That's the signal of interest, what you're trying to listen to, competing with noise in the environment. And the ratio of that, the better it is, the higher it is, the more likely you are to succeed in a communication situation where it's noisy. So let's talk about people with no hearing loss, okay? They do fairly well in those situations, but even with normal hearing, speech and noise can be difficult. Now let's talk about a damaged auditory system, specifically damaged outer hair cells. All right, that's a piece of anatomy that's in the inner ear that filters out background noise. Well, the only way to know if that's working or not is with a special test that you don't find everywhere. It's called distortion product otoacoustic emissions. And by implementing that short test with a specialized piece of equipment, I can tell you whether or not your outer hair cell is working. If it's not working, guess what? Even with normal hearing, you are going to have trouble having conversations in noisy environments. If it is working, right, if you do have that anatomy but still have some hearing loss, you're also going to have trouble in those environments. But the diagnosis, the recommendation, changes completely depending on the function of that anatomy. Most offices that you go to, especially if it's, a hearing aid office, if you will, that's not really diagnostically centered. In other words, all they do is test hearing for the purposes of hearing aids. It's not a test they typically employ. It's a piece of equipment that costs about $7,000 to $8,000. You don't need it to write a prescription for hearing aids, but you do need it to determine whether or not you'll benefit from some of the more advanced technology that has more noise suppression or directional microphones. And if you don't test for it, you don't really know. And then frequently we see hearing aids that come into our door with people that probably should have had directional mics, but they don't, and therefore they tell me, everything's loud, but I still can't understand people in noise. Well, the reason for that is the anatomy, the outer hair cell, is damaged, so they can't do it physiologically on their own, and the hearing aids that they have in their ear only has one omnidirectional mic, not two microphones on the faceplate or on the BTE. That's what's called directional microphones. And what directional microphones do is help separate or turn down noise from behind to what's in front of you. Remember, the computers on your ear, the directional mics built into them, assume that we want to hear what we're looking at. So, when you have directional microphones on your hearing aids, you turn down background noise. You don't get rid of it. It's not a magic pill, but it does turn it down. Increases the volume from the front side, whatever you're looking at, enhancing or increasing that signal to noise ratio. Higher signal to noise ratio, better performance in noise. So let's recap. Today we're talking about signal to noise ratio and how to make it better. If you've got a damaged auditory system and you have hearing aids, you need better signal to noise ratio. How do you do that? You do that with directional microphones. If you've got damaged outer hair cell function, the only way to replace that ability to filter out background noise is with directional microphones. Digital noise suppression alone is not enough. Directional microphones are that added piece of technology that are essential, and all too often I see hearing aids on patients that are coming into my office to ask me, how come these don't work, right? They have hearing aids that they got from other offices that don't have directional mics, and that's their only problem. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to email me at drturri@fixmyhearing.com or call that number on the screen in front of you anytime, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.